Hello, beloveds, and welcome to Cosmic Child. This is the second offering in Sunday Lives, which I am calling Shakti Sundays, to honor the divine feminine and the cosmic child within us all. I am your guide, Brooke Grove. I am a healer and speaker. I am a near-death experiencer, and I am a writer and poet. But most importantly, I am the mother, and I am a mother of two beautiful little boys, one of which happens to be a starseed. So, for your knowing, I opted to create this separate offering as there are many persons who simply want to be in resonance with a small tribe of highly sensitive persons or persons that identify as starborn. Some of you that have been here know that I've done some informal videos discussing star lineages and star heritage. I am not dogmatic, and I highly encourage you to be open and trust your intuition with this information. As I have shared with those that know me, when it first came through to me, it was too much for my analytical brain. I simply was not there yet. However, as my gifts began to expand and unfold, as I began to understand that you can be and or, and that nothing in this incarnation is black or white, then I began to see that I could hold space for myself as a star-born individual and also retain, if not enhance, my connection to earthbound disciplines such as science. And because of science, we now have wonderful terms for persons that were born starborn or born highly sensitive to align with, which may give you a better understanding of who you are, your strengths, and also areas wherein you might need to boundary up or be cognizant to tend to the mystical garden of your own wounds before stepping into service. Thus, this is a two-part love offering. Cosmic Child is here for anyone who would like to vibe live, see what shows up, and hang out for a bit to talk about our sensitivities. Whatever you put in the chat, I'm happy to comment on, though time is limited here. If this conversation resonates, I invite you to experiment with me and play a bit on Zoom with a new offering called Soul to Soul. This is a place where I just hold space and you show up as your raw, visceral, sensitive, and or starseed self to be in small, supportive, open, and receptive community. So with that, I'm going to see who's here today. If you have anything you want me to talk about regarding sensitivity, I will attempt to give my best answer at the moment with Spirit's aid here and now. So let's see. William, hello in Dallas. Charlie, welcome back. Thank you for joining us from Ireland. Kenny, hi. I believe you're in Northern California. Correct me if I'm wrong, but welcome. And let's see. Joelle, nice to see you again, darling. And hello, Shelly. Yay. Thank you for being here. So to open this space together, is there anything you wish to hear about or begin to open this container with regarding what it might mean to be starborn and or highly sensitive? I'm going to own my own bias here and that I self-identify as both. So if I lose my language to that a bit, know that that's when I'm speaking from the I. But for the we, you can oscillate, you can be curious about the labels, you can just say, I'm sensitive. It doesn't matter to me. The language is a very finite attempt to define the ineffable. So often these conversations are very difficult to put into words, which is why I like the lived expression of doing it with you in the moment, but rather than giving you some egoic sermon. So that said, hi, James, welcome back. So grateful to have this tight little group here. So since I don't see a question per se yet, I'm going to ask you, have you each always identified as sensitive? Did you know at an early age, or did you feel different at a young age? You can just put it in the chat. Yes, no, maybe, doesn't matter. Anything there, guys? Okay. Oh, yes. You did reach out to me. So one of our participants is saying that she feels very earthbound and yet also highly sensitive, a blessing and a curse. I see that presentation all of the time in my work. To be honest, the two presentations I see most often are star seeds or starborn who like live beyond the heart chakra. They're all up here. They're out here. They often have a very hard time being in their body. They have a really hard time connecting with anything below the heart. And so they're often going through a lot of root chakra and a lot of sacral chakra issues about being earthbound. They just don't want to be here. And so they dissociate and they live in these etheric realms. Well, the issue with that is, yes, you can get all of this beautiful, juicy, cosmic knowing. And yes, you can dance with the divine. Yes, and yes. But as someone who once did that myself, I can tell you this, you're not going to be able to bring any of that knowing down to the hard and holy ground. Our job as star seeds and highly sensitive persons is to actually be a channel for those energies through the bridge of the heart, which allows us to share them with the widest resonance and then ground it down into the earth body so that, and this is paramount, everyone, so that we may walk the talk. When your energy is all up here, no matter how beautiful or cosmic or ethereal or angelic it is, if it's all up here and it's disconnected at the heart and down here, it is not going to be medicinal for anyone. This is where we see the Kundalini experiences that are often labeled as bipolar disorder or psychosis or things of that nature, because they are not able to bring it through the channel of communication. They're not able to bring it through the creative and expressive and resonant felt sense of the heart, and they're not able to work it down through the earthly chakras, which really allow them to transmute their own wounds, bring it down into the earth, and walk with integrity and alignment. I am not saying one or the other is better. I am simply saying that whichever way these energies choose to express, that's where you begin. That's the medicine, that's the invitation. And we are not to bypass that. We are to sit with pain. We are to sit with discomfort. In yogic traditions, particularly Tantra, there is an understanding that the totality is the guide point. We don't run. That is the feminine way. That is the surrender to the feminine energy. And so I see some more people coming in. Hi, British Columbia, always sensitive. I feel you, girl. And let's see what else is coming through. Okay, so earthbound. Okay, so Joelle is saying she didn't realize she's a starseed or empath until after her Kundalini awakening. I get that. I totally get that, Joelle. I'm a naturally born sensitive. I'm sure my family would say witch. I'm cool with that though too, as long as it's white light magic. That said, that's true. I would not have resonated with that term per se myself till after my NDEs. And I only talk about one, yet I've had multiple. And that said, the language then became a support system. So again, if it resonates, keep it. If the language doesn't resonate, lose it. For me, Starborn has become, I'd say, my biggest anchor to the earth, ironically, are the stars. Because when I wake up, because my star lineage and my connection to the Shakti and to the cosmic womb is so deep, when I wake up, the first thing I do is drop into the field. And I have to then check in. Okay, what's feeling yummy? What's not feeling so yummy? And what is the field? And what is me? And then that's how my practices begin. So this morning I woke up and I instantly felt some disqualified vibrations from the collective, sat with them for a little bit, leaned into if they were coming from my wounds or the collective. There was resonance in both. So then the next unfoldment intuitively was, okay, well, how do we drop into being with mine, clearing, up leveling, bringing the vibration into its purest form, and then moving this energy through the body so it can release. So I did like a 50-minute transmission with the goddess Tara from the Buddhist tradition, which is liberation and letting everything go without judgment. And then after that, I was able to do some yin yoga to really let these chakras begin to move. And again, the energy is already moving now, but the body is moving. When that happens in conjunction, the purge is instantaneous. When we only do part and we attend to the emotions or the mind or the behavior, but we don't do it in accordance with the totality of the system, that's where we get a lot of the constraints of allopathy. We're looking at one part of the whole and not the entirety. So I encourage you, when you work with energy medicine in any capacity, even if it is sitting still in meditation, to be cognizant that when you are done becoming an open channel to the divine, when you are done releasing or examining what you wish to release, when you are done in the ocean of silence that is so healing, make sure you honor your soma. Your soma, your body, is working in conjunction with your mind at all times. It really is your unconscious mind. So if you truly want energies and sensitivities to move through you, it must always be done in conjunction to the human vessel. So that's just a little recommendation for starseeds. And so I'm looking over here, and Charlie says, as a sensitive, yes, and bless your beautiful heart, Charlie. I love your heart. And yes, Shelly Ann as well. William, you've always felt different. Thank you, William. I would say in the past 3 years, having seen people in every continent at this point, what a blessing. I hear that fundamentally the most. And if I had come to someone like myself early in my awakening journey, that's how I would have described it. Like I've never felt held. I've never felt seen. I've never felt validated, would have been my vernacular at that time. Because and that just like and instantaneously did a clearing in my back. That was kind of cool. But that said, that energy was so thick in my environment. And I share that because it's almost like a collective blueprint some of us starseeds and highly sensitives have chosen in this incarnation. And that is, again, because for us to come into the full quota or the full expression of our light, we must first clear all density. What makes it more revolutionary, more illuminating to clearing density than coming into a situation where density is pervasive? Those of us that chose these really difficult paths, what I want to offer you is this. Having survived all of the hellish underworld things I have survived as a polytrauma survivor who literally went through recurrent periods of prolific abuse for 3 decades, what I can tell you is this. The amount of depths you go into the shadow or the underworld, as we call it in goddess work, the amount of times you go down and the amount of times you come back up, each time that light quota grows and grows and grows. I would not be able to be with you here and now with my human discomforts, my egoic discomforts, my discomfort with the camera, if it weren't for the fact that this light is now so powerful that I can channel it to assist me with certain goals. So again, that profound suffering, that profound disconnect, that profound I'm too much, I'm too raw, I'm too visceral, I'm too loud, I'm too quiet, I'm too soft, I'm too sensitive, all of those twos that everyone else put on you, those are your gifts. In this space and in soul to soul, we are going to take back the two. The two is what you're here for. You are too much light for this darkness. That two that others can't tolerate about you is your light. You illuminate all you touch, even when you're blocked, even when you're in your pain, even when you're in your shadow. You are more connected to your sensitivity, to your cosmic knowing, to your divine channel than most persons incarnated here now. That is not a curse, beloveds. That is a holy invitation that your oversoul chose, because your oversoul wanted to be here now, to be of service to this collective. I do not offer that as new cage dogma. I say it because I have lived it. I say it because when my soul was given the opportunity to stay or go, I shocked my own ego. I shocked my own trauma. The higher I, the collected I, the I that's at the seat of the Creator, knew that I wasn't going back this time to be alone. I wasn't going back this time to be mocked and ridiculed. Sure, those experiences may happen in certain environments, yet this time, when I came back, when I was bold and courageous enough to share my light, this time I would be surrounded by others who were awakening and doing the same. It is our timeline now. Do not let the darkness fool you. It will roar loudest when it is losing. And the beautiful thing about the light is that if you truly have it, you do not need to force it upon anyone. You do not need to convert anybody. You do not need to preach to anyone. You simply emanate it. And you let that resonance of divine love, that all-inclusivity, that non-judgment, that return to the cosmic core, you allow that to live and play and speak through you. So with that, I'm just looking to see. Yes, okay. Okay, so Charlie's saying he's realizing that he's an empath and that he doesn't have the knowledge of being a starseed. That's often, I'm not saying for sure you are, because I don't do readings or anything live with the audience as I'm working. Yet what I do know is that there is a spectrum, okay? And I would like to offer this for you to use this as your home play. Sit with this and bring it back next week and see how it lands, and you might have some questions. But think of sensitivity as a spectrum. I actually encourage you to think of all emotional and behavioral presentations as a spectrum. Autism has famously been seen as a spectrum, yet very other pathologies or ways of being have been offered that way. In truth, all of the human experience exists on a spectrum. All of us have neurodivergent parts. All of us have sensitivities. All of us have psychic gifts. It just depends where we are on that spectrum. On the spectrum of sensitivity, there are many persons who identify like midway-ish as an empath or highly sensitive person. And it's not until the gifts unfold more and more and they're in their psychic power that they might be like myself, wherein they say, oh yes, I'm an empath and highly sensitive, and I am starborn. So I offer that to you, and that doesn't mean that you necessarily are, or you need to use that vernacular. But for me, when my Kundalini became fully active and I began working with the angelics, and then next came along the multidimensional, had I not had the understanding of my starborn nature, which was enhanced and supported by my work as a shamanic practitioner, because the indigenous peoples intuitively understood that many persons came from the stars. When we open the 4 directions, one part that we are taught is when we go and speak to grandfather sun, grandmother moon, we call in our star brothers and star sisters. And so for me personally, the multidimensional are some of the strongest teams I work with. Also with my gifts, because I do see energy at all times. It is the multidimensional and it is the star seed and activations on auras of others that I see most often. And in the 3 years of doing this work, I will offer you this. I've had persons reach out to me for a multitude of reasons from all over the world. I would estimate, again, this is an estimation and not an empirical statistic, but I would estimate about 93% of them are starborn. It's very rare that I've seen an extraordinary sensitive that doesn't have Palladian or Syrian or lyric, whatever kinds of traits going on. And as I've said before, I don't get caught up in that. I know some people really enjoy going down those rabbit holes. So if that appeals to you, go ahead. I'm always working with the direct experience of the moment. What's showing up? What's the energy signature? How does it resonate? And is it a vibration of love? Because if it is not of the highest light and resonance, then I am not in alignment and I will not be working with it. And so I offer you that to begin to look at your sensitivity as a spectrum. And where do you currently identify on it? So again, we'd have like nothing to full on I feel everything. I'm definitely on team I feel it all. Okay, I don't even know if the spectrum goes far enough for how much I feel, see, think, sense, hear. All of it, all of them are open for me. But look at your own spectrum and where are you? And does it oscillate? Do you have days where you're like over here and you have to actively boundary up and kind of control your sensitivity? Or do you just let it all, bleed out? Are you in the middle? Does it depend on the circumstance? Really start to dialogue with yourself internally about what is my spectrum like today? What's my sensitivity spectrum? And how may I play with this? And that could be a really good homework assignment for your own inner growth with your sensitivity, is to look at how is my sensitivity, how is the language of my felt experience expressing itself today? What does it have to say? What can I be curious about? Is it teaching me today? And am I walking in alignment with it? Meaning, is it being of service? Or conversely, as many empaths often say, they feel the unaligned side of it, which is where, again, you're down here in the wound space because all of this stuff hasn't been cleared. And so they feel that they don't want to be here. They just want to float away up here or serve from here, love everybody, but they can't be with their own pain. And if I have something to really offer you as we transition into soul to soul, is that invitation again. Remember that pain is your system's way of saying, pay attention. So many empaths and highly sensitive persons would open their door to you no matter what the circumstances were, and yet they won't open the door to their own selves. And fundamentally, that is what I want this group and soul to soul to begin to change. When we open these channels in ourselves, and then we bring them into community, or we bring our struggles regarding opening them into a safe place, we liberate all the people too scared to say that for themselves, too scared to be so bold. So please understand that when you're doing this work on your sensitivities, you are attending to the macrocosm. This is big work. I wouldn't be offering a series of free offerings in this particular timeline in this economy if I didn't know that they were absolutely resonant to where so many persons are. Thus, it's a great gift to me if you take these curiosities, you take these pains, and you begin to lovingly tend to them so that you can alchemize them to medicine, and so that you can begin to express and share your medicine, your love, your sensitivity with the world. And that doesn't mean by going on YouTube or speaking at conferences necessarily. It could, and if you do, I'll be watching. But it more often than not, what it does mean is taking these activations into your world, because light begets light. Simply by being here, you are lighting the way for others who are in the dark. So remember, if your wounds are activating you, they are inviting you to step into your power. And power can only stay embodied. That energy can only be transmitted if you're doing the work. And I know when we have been told for a lifetime that we are too much or too sensitive or too loud or too all the things, it can be terrifying to step into that power. I know that fully well, which is why I invite you to return here each week. Bring whatever ails you. I have no agenda here, no attachment to outcomes. I'll free flow on whatever shows up in the room. Okay? If it's inappropriate, I'll also boundary up and tell you that. So I will model what I really wish to instill to you as a healer and teacher because it was modeled to me. And often by guides, not an embodied person. Because I didn't have the experience of having someone being able to physically do it for me, and because I'm learning now how to be that person for my 10-year-old starseed son, I want to hold a communal space where we can co-create this shift in the collective together. I encourage you this week to really sit with both sides of being a sensitive. Honor where it hurts. Honor where it feels good. And let's bridge the gap between these polarities. Let's bring our sensitivity into a non-dual state. With that, I hope I offered you some medicine about being sensitive today. And I invite you, if you are here, to join me in Soul to Soul. For now, as we're a very intimate group, I'm going to be sharing the passwords in the live as they won't post till the next day, and they're in be null and void when persons see the video. So the password for today is Venus with a capital V 23. The link is on my community page and also in the show notes. With that, I'm going to drink a little water and I will meet you on Zoom. Thank you so much for everyone that's been here today and held space with me in the lives. If you're seeing this across all time and space, and for those in the audience today, please like this video as it helps call our star and sensitive tribe in as I'm growing this channel the old-fashioned way, organically. Also, please comment on the video as an energy exchange. This is a love offering. Your comments on the actual video help call new persons in. I believe everyone in this space knows what it's like to be scared. So we really want to be gentle and yet open to call in new souls, as I know many need us now. Thank you for being the light medicine you are, and I will see you soon, soul to soul. Sending so much love to all. Thank you. Bye.